Hi everybody! Hi Noga!
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
You're okay?
Very much okay.
We have been psychoanalyzing WestWorld because there's a lot of psychoanalytical elements in the show, and one of the major themes it explores is the subject of human unconscious.
There's a lot of symbolism regarding the human unconscious in the show. There's this whole idea of going down in order to reach insight or knowledge that was previously hidden.
So it's like you're diving into the unconscious.
Right. Okay. In Freud's topographical model, he used the symbol of the iceberg to describe the conscious, pre-conscious, and unconscious.
And the tip of the iceberg is the conscious?
Right.
So most of us is unconscious.
Most of us is the unconscious, and it's also like you go down, you go deeper into the ocean in that sense to reach
go to the cellar or to the hangar or stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's the whole symbol of going downwards. In the hangars, you can also see where they put all the junk, like all the part objects, all the robots that were like cut off into pieces. Right. And that's also a symbol to our unconscious, where we leave all the part objects of our past, you know, just like fragments of people we've met and situations we've encountered.
Right, and we pushed away, pushed down.
Exactly, pushed down and never bothered to clean up, you know, it's just all there. No one touches it.
And there's a lot of knowledge over there.
A lot of knowledge. I mean, if we could go down there and truly like put all the parts together and see how they connect, then that would be great. But no one ever bothers to do so, so it's just left there.
What is this place?
The subconscious. I don't like it here. It's where they keep Riley's darkest fears.
It's broccoli.
The stairs to the basement.
Grandma's vacuum cleaner!
Another example is the fact that Dolores and Arnold, when they talk together in the cellar, they sit right one across from the other, like in therapy.
Right.
And that's where they reach their insights. I mean, Dolores' insights. That's where she goes through her process of like self-discovery.
Right.
Do you know now who you've been talking to? All this time.
It was you. And now I finally understand, confront myself. And who I must become.
Wow, that's really that.
Mm-hmm. The reverie is also an example of that.
Her finger. That's not standard.
I noticed it last night. He calls them reveries. The old gestures were just generic movements. These are tied to specific memories.
How? The memories are purged at the end of every narrative
But
loop.
they're still in there, waiting to be overwritten. He found a way to access them, like a subconscious.
Their ability to remember things from the past. It's like their ability to like daydream in a way.
Like they're hypnotized?
Like they're hypnotized. They look, you know, sometimes when someone is daydreaming, they're gazing into the air. They're not all there, but they're also not all gone. You know, it's just like a temporary state of reconnecting to all kinds of inner things, sometimes without even the ability to repeat it to the listener.
Right, like... I hope you don't mind that I'm saying it, but just like today, when we were preparing for this video, we were sitting with my collaborator that is doing all the shooting, and you were busy on your phone, and we were talking to you and making all kinds of jokes, ludicrous jokes, for like a minute, and you didn't hear us at all, like you weren't really there.
But that's because I have really great concentration skills. No, but the reverie is more like when you see people just like sitting there and thinking, maybe, you know, twisting their hairs or biting their nails or whatever, or smoking, and just like you can see that they're thinking about something without really thinking about it. It's daydreaming, basically. When you're there and not there, you can be anywhere in any time in your mind, even unconsciously. And this is another thing that the hosts really manifest in the show, because there is a certain atemporality and a certain lack of space, no time and no space in the unconscious. And the hosts, that's how they operate.
Can you stand somewhere else? I don't want anyone thinking that you're representative of the goods inside.
Right, they can sense an injury physically that has occurred a long time ago.
Right. And their memories are just like they're happening now. There's no distinction between past, present, and future.
And does that resemble the human unconscious?
In the human unconscious, there's no temporality, no time, no space. Everything is experienced in a way as if it's happening now and in the past and in the future at the same time.
For example?
For example, when I'm sitting next to you, in front of you, we're talking.
Right.
And maybe at a certain point, something you say triggers some kind of feeling or experience or thought I had with a boy in my class 20 years ago, 30 years ago. God, I'm old. 30 years ago. And suddenly it's oh my God, 30 years ago.
I was 20 years ago. Who are you kidding?
I was in class 20 years ago, but it's not.
It's not that kind of class.
It's not that kind of class. So suddenly it brings me back 30 years, thinking about the kid in my class that
taunted you, maybe.
Taunted me, and maybe when you say something a certain way, suddenly I feel like that girl again, helpless, and you being like the perpetrator, like that kid again, and I feel hurt inside, and I'm afraid, or I'm angry, or I'm hurt.
Everything is coming back.
Everything is coming back as if it's happening right now.
So time and space.
Time and space. I mean, it's space in the sense that you don't embody the boy of an 8-year-old boy, 6-year-old in my case, and
9-year-old in my case.
But in this sense, you do. It's like in the show, the space thing. I mean, Dolores' father, they switch him at some point. She relates to the new person as if it's the old. Like I treat you like the 6-year-old boy that taunted me in the first grade, then Dolores treats the new father like her old father, because the fact that they embody different spaces, different person in that moment doesn't matter at all.
Right, that's called transference, right?
Right, it's called transference, and we do it all the time to people around us.
You do it all the time.
Yeah, no, you don't. At that moment, my mother told me something. I feel like a teenager again. Oh, Mom, it gets
Right, because she asked you, when are you coming back? No! No!
How many times do I have to tell you?
So it seems like we have no control over what our unconscious makes us do and react.
Right. Freud himself said that ego is not a master in its own house. I mean, ego is like the reality principle, like the part of our psychic organ that has to do with reality. We don't go by reality. I mean, we have to, but we're also part of our inner reality is sometimes much stronger than the external reality.
The issue is, by the way, man-spreading.
Man-spreading is when a man spreads his physical body to take up as much space as humanly possible.
And this is why, people are often irrational.
I've seen more women taking up fucking empty subway seats with their fucking purses than I've seen men spreading their legs.
And are often very triggered and, get very emotional.
They sit like this, and God bless them, good for them. I have shit here. I can't, it smushed my junk. I gotta sit like this.
Right. Because sometimes it has nothing to do with external reality. It's just the way we're triggered from the inside.
So as annoying. Much space as humanly possible. Implying that I'm sitting on the subway like, this is all me. I'm like 4 seconds in and I'm already pissed off. I'm already straight triggered, BuzzFeed.
If you've had a certain experience, negative experience, 20 times, the 20th time might not be that bad, but this is still the 20th time, so you're a lot more sensitive to it. Your past is always with you.
Exactly.
The entire time.
Yeah, it's atemporal. It's all the time. I mean, we don't know what's past, what's present. We're very volatile. We're very vulnerable in that sense. Everything can penetrate and trigger us and do things and do that.
And how can we avoid those challenges along the way?
Freud had 2 different models when it comes to discovering the inner causes, like our deepest causes.
Okay.
He always had the metaphor of going downwards.
Okay.
In the beginning, it was more of an archaeological model, like the idea that something is buried underneath and we have to dig and dig and dig through talking and then we'll reach it.
Okay.
But then, because he learned about the atemporality and the time and space.
Right. If things come back, then they're not buried down there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So this is why it's called the psychodynamic model.
Okay. What does that mean?
Everything is dynamic all the time. Like there are conflicts, and it's like like lava underneath. Just the fact that things are not static and buried, but they keep coming up, because when I see something in external reality, it triggers something inwards that, it raises it up again.
Right.
So it's all the time in movement, all the time just floating up and down and sideways, and something that happens according to external reality, according to triggers.
Right. Because
Okay, these guys are sitting like this because they're being really respectful. Look at this guy on the right. He's sitting away from the person next to him so he doesn't intrude on their space. This is a nice guy. And you're showing him like, oh, fuck this. Fuck you, Tan, with your edgy hipster hat.
Well, she's
just what? Woman-splaining me? Yeah, I know what Tan's doing.
So Freud said that the more aware we are of how we're triggered and what triggers us and what kind of emotions it stirs up in us, the more we can recognize it and then say, okay, well, I was just triggered because it reminded me of the kid that taunted me when I was in the first grade.
I got it, I'm sorry.
Yeah. God, thank God you got it already. I was tired of saying it. But and then I can say, okay, this is why I had this kind of negative emotion towards him, but it's just Gil, it's not that guy who was also named Gil, by the way. I'm just kidding, I met him up. But it's just Gil, it's not that guy. I have this, but it's me, it's not him. When he said that, it reminded me of him. Yeah, exactly. I can breathe, I can relax, I can regulate myself much more because I know it. Yeah, I can recognize it. I know that it's not true. It's part of my...
in the show, it's interesting, like Maeve, okay, so she develops awareness, right? She knows that some stuff is real and some stuff is not real, right? She knows that she doesn't really have a daughter, that it's all made up.
I got the information you asked me for. The location of your daughter.
She's alive.
But still, she's triggered. She chooses to take the note and she chooses to come back, even though she knows that it's not real. So consciousness, maybe the show tells us, has still some limitations, consciousness and awareness.
Yeah, so with Maeve, she feels it really viscerally, she feels it very strongly, like the affect of it is almost too great to control.
And tomorrow, this will be simply a distant dream.
Because it's like sometimes we know rationally that something is a certain way, but emotionally, like we really feel like it could be something else.
You have like real life examples?
So yeah, like PTSD, let's say. Soldiers, I mean, that's like the common example.
Right, like they know they're not in war right now.
Right, yeah, but they feel it so greatly, like they feel it so powerfully that they can't ignore it. They have to respond to it.
I'm always worried about somebody coming in my house and hurting my family, but I'm always on guard and I'm ready for anything at any time. I used to be able to determine combat zone and home, but now to me, everything's combat zone.
And in a way, they're not completely convinced that it's not true, that it's not really happening right now. And with Maeve, I think it's the same. She feels so strongly her longing for her daughter that it's too difficult for her to recognize that maybe it's not real. It's the same thing with sexual assault victims.
How so?
For example, now that the Me Too movement is very much part of everyone's discussion topic. Many times when women or men who have been through sexual assault, some people who were in that kind of situation of like severe sexual assault or some kind of sexual trauma.
So it comes back.
I was wearing a floor-length skirt, a Tampa Bay Buccaneers t-shirt,
and an olive green hooded sweatshirt and a pair of Puma sneakers when I was raped on my dorm room floor.
Around the age of 5, that's when I began to experience sexual assault.
I just remember sitting in the shower for like 4 hours, just trying to get clean.
It took me years to forgive myself and tell myself that I did not let that happen.
Girls, boys are killing themselves.
It comes back, like even talking about it, all kinds of small triggers that other people can't anticipate completely.
If a soldier that has PTSD is triggered by something, we would not tell them, hey, what are you doing? No, okay. So maybe we could do the same with sexual assault victims, I'm thinking. Okay, so let's take all that and turn that into a bold prediction. Collective unconscious. Okay, so let's turn all those themes of the human unconscious and try to turn that into a bold prediction for season 2.
One of the things that can happen, I mean, if we live too much in our unconscious, it means that we lose touch with reality in a way.
Right.
So we can see
it's harder to function.
It's harder to function. So we can see all the hosts that went crazy, like they were in their loops. They were talking to Arnold, who has been dead for 35 years. They've been doing all kinds of things because they've lost contact with their reality. Not the reality of them being robots, but like their reality.
Right.
One of the triggers that we have is like an external trigger in the show, which is the flies, like the bug.
Right.
The bug that makes them go. Also,
Right.
they changed it. Of course, it could be Robert, like Ford that planted it or whatever.
Whatever.
I am who I am because of her, and well, I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't have it any other.
But they're also thinking that maybe what did it was the reverie.
I have to warn her.
Like their ability to go back to their unconscious memories and stuff.
The things you do to her.
So if they went too many times,
Yeah.
now they can't differentiate between past,
Yeah.
present, and future.
I have to help her. She's got to get out.
And that's really the psychotic state of mind. Psychotic state of mind, you can say they're very much in their unconscious, like their unconscious is flooded, is overflowing, and then they don't have, like the time and space continuum is just
Right.
not
This
there.
could be what we'll see during season 2, them going crazy a little bit.
Some of them, yeah. Some of them for sure will. Like some of them for sure will. And
If you remember all the times you died, all the people that you've been this person, you've been
Yeah, wow.
short circuit, boom, that's over. Game over.
Being more aware of your triggers and like your different issues, unconscious issues, is not really easy even to people who recognize the fact that they need therapy. I mean, I think we all need therapy, but that's me. They want to change. They want things to get better in their lives.
Right. This is why they're doing it.
Right. But Wilfred Bion, who was one of the greatest psychoanalysts in the 20th century, he said that a person goes to therapy and then they do everything they can to avoid being treated, like to avoid touching those very painful subjects.
I don't understand why you can't be just a little bit more flexible. I mean...
Because it's very painful. I mean, it's like having a physical pain. You don't want people to touch you when you have that pain.
Right, even if it's to heal you.
Exactly.
Right.
And we've only had a half an hour session.
We've only had
today
half a session
because I left my kid in Baltimore. The traffic was insane.
Paul.
And why are you so fucking rigid?
Right, like for example, your therapist will tell you, does that remind you of something maybe with your parents? And like, no, there's nothing to do with that. It's not that at all.
Right.
And like you're trying to swat everything away.
Yeah.
You've got an enormous amount going on right now, and I would really like to help you see your way through. But whenever I dare ask you to look at yourself or your patterns of behavior, you get angry. You raise your voice, you get impatient, and I think deeply afraid.
Freud called it resistance, And he said that what the person is resisting is turning the unconscious material into conscious material, because there's a lot of anxiety, again with the model of like the sexuality and aggression. You don't want people to know those things about you.
Okay.
But beyond, he made it seem more like it's about pain, you know, it's not just about anxiety.
Right, so it's not being critical of patients.
Right.
Just like it's hard.
It's hard, and it's understandable even.
Right.
It's understandable to not want to feel the pain, and to want and not want to heal it at the same time.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the paradoxes that we find it hard to grasp.
Right, that's deep.
Thank you. It's not me, it's psychoanalysis.
Boom. Let's turn that into a shirt.
Okay, we already said we would.
We always said we would, so I hope we have a shirt. If we have a shirt, you can see it right now, and there's a link in the description. If there's no shirt, then it says no, there's no shirt. We're working on the shirt. Okay. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you, Noga. As always, it was a lot of fun. You have to subscribe if you want to watch all the channels, WestWorld Season 2 videos, episode reviews. Hopefully, let's see if the show is good. If it's good, you're going to do episode reviews all the way. And if you want to check our Patreon page, patreon.com/GOT Thank you, patrons, for sustaining the channel. The channel is like 99% sustained on our patrons. So it's definitely appreciated. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Boom.
יאי, WestWorld, סיימנו, זהו.